Hello. Thanks for joining me. I'd like to tell you a story. Now, it's a story about opportunity. There was a man, Russell Conwell. He was born in 1843 in Massachusetts. And in his early life, he had many careers. He was a soldier and a scholar. He was a lawyer. But in the end, he chose to go into ministry. And when he did, he moved to Philadelphia and he started a church. Not long after that, some young men from the church came to see him. And they said, "Pastor, we'd like you to tutor us at night after work. We want an education, but we can't afford it. Will you teach us?" Well, what could he say but yes? And so he did begin to tutor them. But that day, after the young man went away, he began to think about it. And he thought, why couldn't there be a school for young men and women who are in the working class, who can't afford an education? And so it was, on that day was birthed a dream. That dream would later become Temple University, one of the largest and most respected. In 1880, it received its charter. But years before that, Russell Conwell was working on raising the money for his dream. How would he do it? How could he interest people to contribute to this noble and worthy task? And then he remembered a story that he'd heard years before in his travels in the Middle East. It was a story that had worked in him for years, and it had taught him a great deal about life and opportunity. I suppose you're wondering what the story is. Well, here it is. Once, there was a man who owned a farm in India. It was a large farm. It had orchards and fields, livestock. He was a happy man because he was a prosperous farmer. Now one day, a traveler came and talked to him. He began to weave tales about diamond mines to be found far away, and that there was great wealth to be gotten by taking these gems out of the ground. The farmer began to think, and whereas before he was happy and contented with his life, now he was no longer content. He wanted to find a diamond mine. And so he determined he would sell his farm and he would go in search, and that's exactly what he did. He sold the farm, he took his family and left them with a neighbor and went in search of a diamond mine. Now he traveled all over to many lands. Years went by. His money ran out. His health was now broken. And in the end, he had nothing. And finally, he was standing on the shore of a great sea. And in despair, he threw himself in and he ended his life. Now the other farmer, the one who bought the property, he was a man that liked to know what he had bought. And so he toured the place and looked carefully at everything and got to know it. And one day, he was crossing a stream on the property, and he noticed a glint. And he reached down and he picked up a large rock, but it was a black, misshapen rock. But in the heart of it, there was an eye. He noticed there was a shining, and he looked in and it shone like fire. Ah, what a pretty rock. I think I'll keep it. And he put it in his backpack and took it home. And when he got home, he took it out and he put it on the mantle so he could look at it. Well, time went by, and a guest came to the house. Now, this guest was known widely as a wise man who had a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge of the world. He walked into the room and looked at the mantle, and he said, "That's the largest diamond I've ever seen." And the farmer said, "What are you talking about? That's no diamond, that's just a pretty rock I found." "No, I know diamonds. That is a diamond." "How can it be a diamond? Look at it." He said, "Diamonds in the rough look like that." He said, "When you take them out of the ground, they're rough, they're misshapen, but you have to polish them and finish them off in order for them to shine." Well, the farmer was very grateful for this information. And he went back out. He went to the stream and he found more rocks just like the first. And then he began to look all over the property. And there, just below the surface, there were these rocks everywhere. These diamonds in the rough. In fact, there were acres of diamonds. Now it turned out that this property was one of the largest diamond mines in the world. In fact, it will go on to make a record of itself because there were more diamonds and larger diamonds found here than anywhere else. In fact, 2 of the largest diamonds ever found were found on this property, the Koh-i-Noor and the Hope Diamond, which are now in the possession of the royal family. Now, the farmer that owned the property, of course, he lived a long and a happy and a wealthy life. And there the story ends. Do you wonder, as I do, what the difference was between the 2 men? They both had the same opportunity. But the first man, he died broken and in despair. The second man lived and had wealth and happiness. The first man showed no curiosity about where he lived. The second man did. He wanted to know more about his own backyard. What can we learn from this? Well, I think of the farm, the land, with all those uncut diamonds just lying about, like I think of our lives. Our lives are like that. We have all of these diamonds in the rough. There are our experiences, our memories, our hopes, our dreams. And when you take them and put them all together, they make our story. But they don't yet shine. Now, I'm a personal story coach, and I help people from all walks of life to tell their story. Artists, professional people, healthcare practitioners, they're all bright, gifted people, but they often miss something that's lying just under their feet, right there in their own backyard. And it's their memories and their experiences, it's their story, that when you take it from the ground and you begin to polish it and work with it, it shines. It shines like the sun, and it draws people to you, and it provides a pathway for you, a clear pathway where you know that the next thing to do, it's right there in your story. Now, best of all, when you know your own story and you can tell it and live it, then you're good for other people. And the world is a better place. What could be better?